live and direct from the Golden State. It's intelligent talk media, the Denice Gary Show. Now, here's Denice Gary.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Denice Gary Show. So good to be back with all of you. I have just somebody I'm just so pleased to have back on the program today, Brad DACUS. Brad DACUS, ladies and gentlemen, is the president of the Civic Justice Institute, and he has been handling a case here in California with regards to a dear 84-year-old widow. I understand. Brad, welcome to the broadcast.
Oh, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
So let me just tell you guys a little bit about this. So this little 84-year-old widow is, from what I understand, being threatened and told that she will be removed. She will be evicted from this California veterans home because of her Bible study. And I want the audience to understand, you know, the Bible study is a volunteer Bible study. You don't have to go. Nobody has to go to a Bible study. So you've got this widow that moved to this California veterans home, you know, several years ago, almost a decade. She was married to a man who served in the Merchant Marine, the Merchant Marine Army in World War II, and then in the Korean War in the Air Force. And Brad, this widow woman, also served. She served as a civilian, but she worked in the Pentagon as an employee in the office of the Chief of Staff for the United States Army. This is an incredible story. Tell us.
It really is. Her background as a veteran and her past service to our country, and her husband's, of course, in both World War II and the Korean War. And he passed away. And,
right.
And so, she's there in a veterans home, California veterans home, and she's been for a long time having a Bible study, and has acted as a volunteer chaplain, and people really appreciate her. But because one person she had engaged in a conversation with, a discussion with, back and forth, that person didn't like what she said, that there's a heaven and there's a hell, and there's a life hereafter with eternal significance for us, and that person didn't like that, yeah, and complained, and alleging emotional abuse, and
from an 84-year-old widow. Yes, so what did you talk to this man that's claiming that he felt that it was abusive to hear about heaven and hell in a discussion? Did you have a conversation with him?
Yeah, I haven't personally. That said, we're working, representing this wonderful woman, Mrs. Artis-Bowe, and she's just has a great attitude. She loves the Lord, and she's actually a Jewish Christian.
I read that. I thought, a Jewish American. This is somebody who, was born into the Jewish faith, and she has converted to Christianity, and somebody that's gone through that kind of experience. I mean, of course, this is going to be an extremely important part of her life, is her faith.
Oh, it really is, and she's been so loving to share her faith and in a volunteer capacity. The Bible study, only people who want to be a part of the Bible study participate. No one's forced to. But she is, unfortunately, though, facing possible permanent eviction.
Yeah.
That it's an 84-year-old woman who served her country defending religious freedom, defending our freedom and liberties, about to be possibly evicted because of her exercising those liberties, that is, to be able to share her faith.
Now let me ask you a question, Brad. Now it's my understanding that she has been volunteering. She is a volunteer in the Army chaplaincy program. So she's been participating that for, I guess, for several years. Isn't the chaplaincy program within the United States Army, the United States military, isn't there anything that, together with you, Brad DACUS, and the Pacific Justice Institute, isn't there something that they can do to also help make sure that she's not evicted from this California veterans home?
Oh, yes, there definitely is. We at Pacific Justice Institute have sent a legal demand letter on her behalf for the department, for the California Veterans Home, to their agency to cease and desist from further threats of eviction to a woman who is, it would be just so traumatic and difficult for her to be booted out on the street, literally booted out on the street, because of one thing, and that one thing is the fact that she shares her faith and she holds a Bible study.
Was there only this one complaint, Brad? Just this one complaint from this one? Wow. So
just
one person
yeah.
complained.
Yeah, so the basic doctrine or policy, if you will, that they're following here at this the Veterans Department and this particular Veterans Home is that if you share your faith and anyone disagrees with you at any time, then you must cease and desist ever sharing your faith again, or you'll be removed from the facility. And that's really disturbing. We talk about the fact that we're not talking about harassment. I mean, there's, if you share your faith with someone over and over and over, and they say, "Look, I'm not interested. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Leave me alone." Well, okay, that's different.
Yes.
We're not talking about that here. We're talking about just simply being able to have a discussion and share your faith without being threatened and possibly permanently booted out in the streets. Someone who has sacrificed, or husband sacrificed so much to defend our freedom and our liberties.
In two wars. In two wars.
Right. Yeah, World War II
and the Korean
War. And he was a very high risk participation at that, and yet that's what's happened. So anyway, we at Pacific Justice do take this very seriously. We're defending her, of course, like we always do, without charge, and we're hopeful that we'll see this matter resolved and resolved somewhat, quickly. But right now, we don't seem to see a Veterans Department that's very cooperative. So we'll see what happens.
So this is what we need to talk about. So the Veterans Department, I think federal government, but this is coming from California. Now this home is in Yountville, California. So
yes.
Is it the state of California, and I'm thinking about Javier Becerra and that left-wing AG that we have. Is this somehow related to the liberal progressive agenda here in California?
That's interesting. As far as the authority, I mean, they're in California. It's the California Veterans Home.
Right. Right.
We're talking, yeah. But it's at the end of the day, though, it's as we move up the administrative ladder, I think we are going to be dealing with the Veterans Department, and so I think that we'll see where that goes. If we have to, we stand ready and willing to do what's necessary to go to bat for her. But the government is supposed to be neutral, engage in benign neutrality and a combination of faith. These people in this nursing home, they're there. A lot of these people can't, go out on their own to, their church. She has this Bible study, meeting their needs of those who want to participate. It's a wonderful thing she's been doing. They know that she cares about them. She's running the race, faithfully and lovingly, and then to have her also just possibly removed simply because she shared her faith and lives her faith. That's a violation of the proper role of federal government, which is supposed to be neutral and not hostile. to people because of their faith or sharing their faith.
Brad, tell us what my audience can do. What can I do? I mean, is there a phone number for us to call? Do we send out a message to the president? I mean, we just, President Trump just the other day signed a new executive order that's working on trying to help lower and reduce the number of veteran suicide rates. I mean, I just am shocked by this. It's so shameful. I mean, we have a president that really cares about veterans. And I'm sure if he heard about this case with this widow who actually worked for the Pentagon, she worked in the office of the Chief of Staff in the Army, you think that the president would step in and take care of it. Brad, we're getting a lot of static from your phone. Are you able to move somewhere so that there's not so much static on the line?
Let's see. How's this? Is this better?
Yeah, it actually does sound better. Okay, thank you.
Okay, good.
So
good.
What can we do, Brad?
I think first is for people to get a hold of the story on our website.
Okay.
And then to take it and then to send it out and then to forward it to their congressman, to forward it to their senator.
Okay.
And I think that is a real valuable thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And also the executive branch. They want to send it to the department of the veterans, the VA department. They want to, or send it to the president. I think that's a really good thing to do. The other thing I think it's a good thing to do is for them to sign up on our website to receive our legal insider updates. People about mainstream media will not talk about this case. Fox News, FoxNews.com has covered the case, which they did a great job. But often mainstream media, CNN, MSNBC, headline news, those.
They haven't touched the story.
No, they don't value, apparently, but they have a history of not valuing religious freedom and the constitutional rights under the First Amendment. So, I'm not trying to bash them, I'm just saying what it is. And so we as people, we can't rely on those media channels. We need to get this information out, to send it out. And when people sign up to get our Legal Insider, they'll get those press releases, those updates, and then they can forward those on. They can push those out so that we at a grassroots level can make sure people are aware, so they can be praying for these people we're helping. And at the same time, forwarded on the information to those that they would like to forward it to, and we really appreciate that tremendously. It's a team effort without a doubt.
So people need to go to P for Pacific, J for Justice, I for Institute, pji.org. Is that correct?
That is correct. pji.org. P for Pacific, J for Justice, I for Institute.org, pji.org.
And go there, ladies and gentlemen. Look for this press release. It says California threatens to boot elderly widow from veterans home over Bible studies. And ladies and gentlemen, this is more than a religious freedom issue. This is a freedom of speech issue. And I don't know who in CalVet is pushing an anti-freedom of religion, freedom of speech agenda right now, but this is the California Veterans Administration. Is that correct, Brad? CalVet?
Yes.
And so, this sounds like a Democrat's behind this door. It sounds like there's some leftist that's got an agenda. And, to think about it, and we see this in other areas. We see it in education. We're seeing it now with affecting an 84-year-old widow. And it would be so traumatic for her to be pushed out. But we see across the board the legislation. Brad, I'm sure you know all about the legislation, AB 175, the new Senate bill that's going to demand foster parents support a child's decision. A child, it could be a 5-year-old's decision to change their gender. And then this other bill that's come up to put Planned Parenthood or an abortion clinic's number on every student ID in the state. That's AB 624. I mean, we look at these things, And within these laws, they've made it illegal for people to have freedom of speech, to have freedom of religion, to follow after their own ideologies and beliefs and thoughts. And that's what's in this. It seems like there's this onslaught by the left to hinder freedom of religion and freedom of speech. And it's just in every time I turn around, it's affecting some new law that leftists want to pass, and it seems to be, it's affecting our veterans. So I just really deeply concerned about it. So anything else? I mean, just get on your website, pji.org, and send these things out to our members in Congress and the Senate and the President.
Right, and also, if anyone out there sees something like this happening, they hear about it, they should contact us immediately. We handle cases all across the United States.
Okay.
Half our cases are in California for obvious reasons. We have a new office in Salem, Oregon, another one in Seattle, Washington, and we're looking to help and assist people and represent people all across the United States when these things pop up. So they should never, ever hesitate to contact us at Pacific Justice Institute, which is pji.org.
Okay, Brad, thank you so much. I know how busy you are. Ladies and gentlemen, again, Pacific Justice Institute, we've been talking with Brad DACUS, the president and founder. If you can support these attorneys that are taking these cases pro bono, please do so. There'll be an opportunity to make a contribution there on the website. Brad, final word.
Yeah, final word is for us to never, never, never give up. We see a decisive move in the right direction in our federal courts. The presidential appointments have been the best, even since Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
And we're really optimistic about that direction. And with that, the opportunities we have to more boldly than ever before to defend our constitutional freedoms and liberties that we all hold so dear, and to defend them successfully as they make their way up the court to the Supreme Court.
Yes, yes. Very good. Thank you, Brad DACUS. You have a great afternoon, and we'll talk to you another time.
Oh, thank you. Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So, ladies and gentlemen, again, I was alluding to while I was talking to Brad about, Trump signing this new executive order aimed at lowering veteran suicide rate. And one of the ways they want to do this is they've got, the president has worked with his new task force. And I think that's fabulous. And I want to say, to the President of the United States, thank you so much for creating a task force that is for the purpose of providing housing and urban development, VA support. So many veterans are homeless. And so the president wants to make sure everyone has a home, and that there are programs for the veteran, for the veteran's family, that are going to help them get on solid footing. And we know that sometimes these men and women, when they come back, they just feel like they're unraveling. I mean, they've been in life and death situations in which they've been on the battlefield 24/7, and I can't imagine what it would be like to be defending your life and the life of your fellow soldiers, your comrades there on the battlefield, and then suddenly come home and it's all about, well, let's see, I've got to go to that 9-to-5 job, and I guess I'll go grocery shopping later and get out there and play some baseball with my boys. I don't know. It would just be quite an adjustment to have that kind of adrenaline going night and day, and seeing the kinds of things these people have seen in the Middle East, especially by ISIS and the Taliban and Al-Qaeda. Horrific things that they'll never forget. They would love to forget, but they'll never forget. And we need to be supportive and helpful, and I want to thank the president for that. I want to also ask you, this case, real quick, I wanted to share this out. Eddie, I believe his last name is Gallagher. Eddie is a decorated Navy SEAL. He has spent the last 2 decades protecting our country, and he was sent on his last appointment. President Trump and Secretary Mattis tasked Eddie and his platoon with clearing ISIS from Mosul in Iraq. Clearing ISIS, the Islamic State. You know, this is a terrorist army. This is an army of Islamists that were crucifying even children, that were putting children through meat grinders, that were using women, Yazidi and Christian women, even sometimes Muslim women, as sex slaves. And, you know, they could be raped maybe 30 times and never have a glass of water or go to the bathroom. And that was their life for years. I mean, what our men and women have seen over there is really something. What those people have experienced over there, of course, is something as well. And this guy, he had some, you know, some men on his platoon, some junior men that just couldn't seem to get with the program. I guess there were a few of them. And, you know, I guess he had them sit out a couple of, I'm not sure exactly what happened, but these guys, they went after Eddie, and they have accused him of killing an ISIS fighter for no reason. And this is what I don't understand. Why is it that attorneys working for the military would go after a Navy SEAL by the name of Eddie Gallagher for killing an ISIS fighter? I mean, wasn't that the point? But I guess the case against him is that he killed an ISIS fighter for no reason. How does that sentence make sense? Does that make logical sense to anybody listening? I mean, you kill an ISIS fighter for no reason. How is that even possible? You kill an ISIS fighter because they're an ISIS fighter. And if you don't kill them that day, they'll come to get you and kill you another day. Do you even understand that, Robert?
They're an enemy combatant.
Yeah, do you even understand the sentence? I mean, I'm reading that he's arrested and that NCIS, the Navy and Criminal Investigative Service, took allegations by some angry young men that I guess Eddie didn't feel were following through on their responsibilities out there on the battlefield. And so they're going to punish their older platoon leader. And NCIS investigators carried out a secretly obtained search warrant on his phone. Why they go to his home, I have no idea. And now he's in the Navy brig in San Diego, locked behind bars today because he killed an ISIS fighter, an enemy combatant out in the field. Thank God he did. I mean, what is it? What do our military men have to wait to have an ISIS fighter plant an IED in the underground? Do they have to wait to see an ISIS fighter, you know, put a knife to their heart? Do they have to wait and see an ISIS fighter hold up a gun to shoot him between them? I mean, why wouldn't he kill an ISIS fighter? So what? I thought that was why we were there, was to kill the enemy. Kill or be killed. Isn't that what it's all about? Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the Denise Gary Show. We will be right back with so much more.
I want to tell you about a place I love to go. Frugatti's Italian Restaurant. Very few locations here provide seating outside in front of a fabulous water fountain with an atmosphere that is reminiscent to me of eating outdoors in Venice. This is real Italian food by real Italians. And what makes it even more so is owner Ralph Frugoletti, who nearly a quarter century ago brought a wood fire oven from Milan, Italy to make, like his mother, fresh homemade bread and pizzas. Moreover, Frugatti's Restaurant offers you not only the very very best in Southern Italian cooking, even importing the finest ingredients for authentic Italian food, including a fitness menu. After all, Ralph has represented the United States and Italy, competing in the Master Championship Games. He knows all the right food for good fitness, so check out the menu. After today's broadcast, run over to Frugatti's Italian Restaurant and Catering at 600 Coffee Road here in Bakersfield. And after a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday service, stop into Frugatti's for a great lunch. I'll see you there, and tell Mr. Ralph Frugaletti that Denice sent you. Salute. Bon appetito.
Ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to legal matters, contact Barb Reynolds. She is a contract paralegal to lawyers, and she will take good care of you. Moreover, she is a Kern County legal document assistant to pro per litigants. She has 47 years of paralegal experience, and for over 30 years has been an educator in the field of law and paralegal work. If you need help handling your adoption, bankruptcy, civil suit, divorce, debt consolidation, evictions, immigration, or attorney referrals, contact Barb Reynolds if you want to win your case. Call Tehachapi Court Services today at 661-822-1994. Barb is simply the best. Call Tehachapi Court Services today at 661-822-1994.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm so thrilled I've got the owner of Scope 365 Fitness here with me today, Craig Jansen, Navy veteran. Craig, tell the audience out there why everybody in town needs to come up over here and join.
Well, Scope 365 is a 24-hour club, so we never close, unlike a lot of other clubs here in town. Additionally, our club is always super clean, and one of the things that you're going to find here is a different environment. We strive to give you a VIP experience here, so we want to get to know you, we want to know your story, we want to know about you and how we can help you succeed and meet all of your fitness goals.
Wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, come on down to Scope 365 Fitness. You're located right here on Brim Hall. Tell us your other location.
We have another location up in Tehachapi, and then our third location here in town is also located over on Chester and Columbus in the Food Mac Shopping Center.
Thank you so much, Craig. You have a wonderful day.
You too. Thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Denise Gary Show. I wanted to say this president is winning the war against terrorist messaging. I wanted to share out that the Trump administration has published the first, a national strategy for counterterrorism since 2011. And what the president is doing is he's talking to government leaders, private industry, civil society workers, trying to say, okay, let's come together and try to prevent messages by terrorists. So thanks to industry leaders working with the president, they have publicly launched the Global Internet Forum to Counter Terrorism. Let me say that again if you want to look it up. The Global Internet Forum to Counter Terrorism. And the results are really beginning to show fruit. So Facebook has now said that it is in the process of removing over 99% of ISIS, the Islamic State, and Al-Qaeda content before users see it and flag it and say, oh, Facebook, oh, by the way, did you know these terrorists have put up this recruitment video, or they put out this propaganda message for all those following him here in the United States and Canada, Mexico, and around the world. So Facebook says it's getting on top of it, and it's removing over 99%. YouTube has now stated that it has quadrupled the percentage of terrorist-related videos. So I'm just, and on it goes. I just wanted to mention it. I just was really pleased to know that the president is pushing back on this. I absolutely believe in freedom of expression and freedom of speech. But I don't believe in giving terrorists who want to bring down and destroy the United States of America. I don't believe in allowing them to put up their propaganda. I mean, free speech, yes, but putting up propaganda and to literally destroy this country, and I mean physically destroy this country. Even Abraham Lincoln had some strict guidelines while he was president with respect to people that, were involved in wanting to bring down the Union and the North here in the United States. So sometimes when you're at war, and ladies and gentlemen, in case you didn't know, we are at war. We have troops around the globe involved in counter-terrorism operations against Islamic terrorists. And we have 17 different intelligence agencies that are working 24/7, that work 24/7. And so it's a busy time in the world in terms of protecting the United States of America and our NATO allies. And so the president is doing what he can do, and I'm so grateful. I want you to pray for this Navy SEAL that's sitting in a brig behind bars in San Diego. I think it's just horrific that they would do that. And again, I see Democrats' name all over this. You see the leftist name all over this. You see people like Rep.Omar, who Democrats can't seem to pass a House resolution to condemn this woman and get her off the House Foreign Relations Committee or the House Foreign Affairs Committee. They can't seem to remove her. Nancy Pelosi's in charge, or she's supposed to be, but you know what? I don't believe Nancy Pelosi's in charge. You know who's in charge of the Democratic caucus? I believe it's Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I believe it's this representative from, Minnesota? Ilhan Omar, and the one from Michigan, the representative Rashida Tlaib. These three women have taken charge of the Democratic Party on Capitol Hill. And if Nancy Pelosi can't get a simple resolution condemning the anti-Semitic remarks by this Representative Omar, a woman from Somalia that's been steeped in anti-Jewish and anti-Christian. I mean, she lived in Somalia as a Muslim woman and then in Kenya in a refugee camp. And she heard all day, every day about hate for America and hate for Jews in Israel. I'm surprised she's here, but then again, I'm not. Because under President Obama, people were given a free pass, and it didn't matter their ideology. And as I've shared with you before, there are people within the Islamic community here in America that absolutely want to bring down from within, quietly, peacefully, gently, so you won't even feel it. But they want to absolutely change our Judeo-Christian traditions to Islamic traditions. And so I don't even understand why Congress hasn't renewed legislation saying that it's illegal to commit female genital mutilation. That's off the books now. We can't, I was just shocked. I was looking at this, I was looking at and listening to Nancy Pelosi, who said, we're not even going to mention Representative Omar's name. She doesn't understand. She doesn't, I mean, is Nancy Pelosi, I mean, this is, either Nancy Pelosi is really dumb in some ways. I mean, she's smart to become the Speaker of the House again, I guess. But she's got to be really dumb in some other areas to say, we don't want to mention Representative Omar's name personally, even though she and her friend, Representative Tlaib, have said horrifically, very ugly anti-Semitic things, suggesting that Jewish members, House Democrats, are not in fact really loyal to the United States, because their loyalty, they have dual loyalty, and their first loyalty is towards Israel. Pelosi can't seem to get that across the finishing line. She can't seem to make that happen. And I read it in this piece in the New York Times, says older Jewish Democrats want a forthright statement condemning the anti-Semitism against these younger liberals who say the House is giving Mr. Trump and Republicans a pass. President Trump, what has he said that's racist? Nothing. You can't tell me, because he's pointed out, as a result of over 200,000 arrests of illegal aliens that have been involved in violent acts of sexual assault, drugs, drug cartels, human trafficking, kidnapping, bank fraud, voter fraud, identity fraud. You can't tell me that it's racist for the President of the United States to point that out. You can't tell me that it's racist for the President of the United States to follow through on congressional law, on a federal law, and move the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. But that's what Tlaib and Omar think it is. They think it's racist. But I'll tell you what, Tlaib and Omar, Jerusalem has never been all about Islam. Muslims that infiltrated areas of the Middle East and Europe, Eastern Europe and Western Europe, sure, they built mosques. That doesn't make it. I know under Islam, and according to you and your belief system, you believe those areas should always forever be under Muslim control. But that's not how we think here in the West. And just because you have a mosque downtown doesn't mean that you own forever now. You own that piece of territory, that piece of land for Islam. I want you to hear this clip, because I think it also reflects Jim Clyburn. Now, Jim Clyburn is a Democrat in the House from South Carolina. And I was shocked, because he was quoted saying that Miss Omar, Representative Omar, fled war in her native Somalia as a child and spent 4 years in a refugee camp in Kenya. You know what, ladies and gentlemen? You know what's happening in Kenya? Christians are being murdered in Kenya on the street. Christians are being murdered in Nigeria. Christians are murdered everywhere where you have Islamic authority. You know, look it up. Find out. Look at Raymond Ibrahim, Ibrahim, Raymond Ibrahim, I think it's RaymondIbrahim.com or RaymondIbrahim.org. He keeps just a running list of all of the massacres and persecution against Christians. Every quarter he publishes a new list of what's going on. This guy, though, from this guy Jim Clyburn from South Carolina, says, you know, she fled war in Somalia. Well, we have dead Americans that died in Somalia. She spent 4 years in a refugee camp and has had more personal experiences with bigotry than those who are generations removed from the Holocaust. Is he kidding? There are people still alive that lived through the Holocaust and had children and grandchildren. I don't know what he's talking about. She has had more personal experience with bigotry? I don't think so. Somalia is a Muslim country. And in Kenya, it's not easy to be a Christian. She would have had the upper hand. And when she came to the United States of America, you know, people bend over backwards. I don't see it towards Jews, but I see it towards Muslims. People bend over backwards to be kind to Muslims after 9/11. I saw it in my classroom. I see it everywhere. I don't see him doing it to Jews, I guess because Jews, I don't know. I don't know why. other than I think it's something that has to do with spiritual issues. And anyway, let's listen to that clip real quick. Thank you. This is the Nancy Pelosi clip, okay?
Well, first of all, thank you for the question. I don't think that that the Congresswoman is perhaps appreciate the full weight of how it's heard by other people, although I don't believe it was intended in any anti-Semitic way. But the fact is, if that's how it was interpreted, we have to remove all doubt, as we have done over and over again. We're working now on a resolution. We'll see when we bring it to the floor that will, again, speak out against anti-Semitism, anti-Islamophobia, anti-white supremacy in all the forms that it takes, that our country has no place for this.
Who is this person that's the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi? Representative Omar didn't mean it to be anti-Semitic? I mean, is she kidding? Do you have any idea what Muslim clerics, what Muslim imams are saying here in the United States against Jews and Christians? Before we go to that clip, because I want you to hear what somebody in Philadelphia, what a Muslim cleric or imam is saying about Jews, that they're the vilest people, they control the media, that they slit open the bellies of pregnant Muslim women who are still alive to see if it's a boy or a girl. I mean, talk about stupid, ridiculous things, calling the Jews a nefarious people. We'll get to that clip in just a moment. But, you know, Texas, I was reading about a teacher. In Texas, a Muslim teacher had to be removed from the classroom because she hates the Jewish people, and her name is Miss Salim, spelled like Salem, S-L-E-M. Miss Salim, a teacher at the Children's Courtyard in South Arlington, Texas, tweeted out vicious, murderous posts from her now disabled Twitter account saying, "Kill some Jews. How many Jews died in the Holocaust? Not enough. Ha 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 ha." She's on leave pending an investigation there in the South Arlington, Texas school district. Anyway, she says things like that Nazism needs to be taught to our children. I mean, she talks about the Quran, killing Jews. Not enough Jews died in the Holocaust. Says the school that she worked for stated, "Our senior management team is working to address this matter. We strive to provide an inclusive environment for all our children, to uphold standards of personal and professional conduct." This is what happens. This is what happens. And when we get back, I want you to hear the kind of thing that's being said in California, in states throughout the United States by Muslim imams. It is horrific, racist, bigoted propaganda. The kind of stuff that Rashida Tlaib, the congressional representative in the House from Michigan, and the other one, Omar from Minnesota, and Andre Carson. And this is the kind of stuff that they hear in the mosques in America. You're going to hear it after break.
Trump Trump has correctly stated that economic security is national security. And in the Tehachapi Mountains of Kern County resides a United States defense contractor, Anti-Semitic Products. Here is the Silicon Valley of the aerospace industry, right here in East Kern. Anti-Semitic Products is a forward-leaning manufacturer and distributor of hardware sold to major defense and aerospace companies. We're talking about Boeing, Lockheed Martin, United Technologies, Northrop Grumman, Raytheon General Electric, and on the list goes, as well as to every United States ally worldwide, including Israel, America's most important strategic ally in the Middle East. And for everything that flies, Anti-Semitic Products is providing the parts. And with me today is the president of Anti-Semitic Products, Scott Baker. Hi, Scott.
How you doing?
Scott, tell us why you believe this corner of Kern County is the hub of the aerospace industry.
Well, this portion of Southern California here out in the Antelope Valley, it contains, some of the most cutting edge technology going on in aviation today. We have some of the UCAS programs with unmanned technologies going on. We have Edwards Air Force Base out here who's doing continual testing in their area. We have the Naval Weapons Station up there at China Lake doing some fantastic cutting edge stuff, cruise missile technology, and those things are going on. We have Scale Composites locally doing a lot of composite technology, which is new. We have SpaceX, which is a private one a private entity putting things into space now. This area is the growth center for aviation's future, and this is the area I think that as a nation we need to be concentrating some of our effort and taking this technology. And as we all know, with the space program from Apollo years ago, out of these technologies, we the private sector are going to reap some of the benefits of that.
Thank you, Scott. Ladies and gentlemen, Scott Baker, president of Anti-Semitic Products. Anti-Semitic Products, located in the beautiful mountains of Tehachapi, California, in eastern Kern County, is home to some of the most innovative and specialized technologies in the world, including those at the U.S. Naval Air Warfare Center, Weapons Division at China Lake, Edwards Air Force Base, as well as Strata Launch, launching satellites capable of delivering multiple orbits in a single flight to space. And it is Anti-Semitic Products that has provided the manufactured devices, and the president, Scott Baker of Anti-Semitic Products, Marine Corps veteran, reactivated on 9/11 to monitor threats to the homeland, is carrying on a tradition of providing for the security of the United States by manufacturing every kind of fastener on anything that flies, as well as providing a full testing destructive laboratory. Contact Anti-Semitic Products, now in business for 30 years, at 661-822-6873. Located at 1314 Goodrich Drive in Tehachapi for your manufacturing and testing needs today.
We're going to go to a clip and then we have breaking news. So ladies and gentlemen, you'll hear it first on the Denice Gary Show today, Thursday, the March 7th. But I want you to hear this clip. This is an American in a mosque in America. He could have been in a mosque in California. I've heard the same thing come from imams in mosques in California. He could be in Arizona. It could be happening in New Mexico. This is one that I took from the state of Philadelphia. I want you the city of Philadelphia and Pennsylvania. I want you to listen to this imam. He's of Egyptian origin. He delivers several anti-Semitic sermons. He is at, when he speaks, the Al-Aqsa Islamic Society. Oh no, that's not the name of the mosque, but he is in charge of the Al-Aqsa Islamic Society in Philadelphia. What's the name of that mosque in Philadelphia? Where is it? I had it right in front of me. It's Philadelphia's Al-Aqsa Mosque. Okay, but he's also involved in the Islamic Society there. And mind you, he's also been involved. He works with the FBI. Isn't that going to be great? Now, wait till you hear what he says. But he's working with the mayor, with law enforcement, with FBI, with CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations. That's a vile group. Anyway, listen to what he has to say about the Jewish people. And you know, we wonder why we have racism in America against the Jewish people. Let's go.
ولكن الجنس العربي أنزل الله عز وجل إليهم أفضل الكتب وأرسل الله عز وجل إليهم أفضل الرسل وجعل الله تبارك وتعالى فيهم من التقاليد ومن الأخلاق ما لا تجده في جنس آخر على الإطلاق. فيهم شهامة، فيهم نخوة، فيهم كرم، واليهود هم أخف الناس خلقا وطباعا ونقضا للعهود، لكنهم حين جاور العرب أخذ من أخلاقهم وتقاليدهم، وأصبح المسلم الآن إنما ينظر إليه شرا، وإذا وجد في مكان فإنما تجد الناس ينظرون إليه بما صوره لهم الإعلام الفاجر اليهودي على أنهم سبع ضارب وأسد مفترس. عندنا من الفنون الكثير.
So ladies and gentlemen, I wanted you to hear that. For those of you that are listening on iTunes or SoundCloud, on internet radio, and you don't see the picture, he's saying things, for example, he started off with, Allah sent down the best divine books to the Arab race. Well, Arabs aren't a race, they're an ethnicity. It shows you how much he knows. But anyway, he says Allah sent down the best divine books to the Arab race. He sent them the best messengers, and he gave them customs and moral values that you cannot find in any other race. The Arabs are courageous, dignified, and noble. Yeah, that's right. Okay. He says the Jews are the vilest people in terms of their moral values, their nature, and their violation of agreements. But when they lived near Arabs, the Jews adopted some of their moral values and customs. Then he goes on to say, if a Muslim lives somewhere in the West, he is viewed according to the way the nefarious Jewish media portrays him. Talks about how the mountains are full of treasures and the oceans are full of treasures, and we have many treasures, and the belly of the earth is filled with treasures, and that these treasures are available to no one but the Arabs and Muslims. And he says, why? Because we are overcome by our spiritual defeat. It made us think that 99% of the cards are held by non-Muslims. The enemies of Allah are now freely touring the Arab capitals, and they order the heads of state to come to the table. They sit there and they plot against the people. On and on it goes. I mean, it's like listening to dribble. And to think that mosques across America are filled, think about this, mosques across America are filled with hundreds of people in a single mosque, tens of thousands of people across the country listening to this kind of propaganda every Friday, every week. Some of them listen to it. This guy that you were listening to, he puts his sermons up on YouTube, so people can listen to him on YouTube. This came out on February 15, 2019. He says the Jews are the vilest people in terms of their nature and moral values, and nefarious. And he's working with the FBI. He's working with law enforcement. He's working with the mayor in Philadelphia. We wonder why we have a problem in America with anti-Semitism, with people like Representative Omar. This type of thing is going on. When Hillary Rodham Clinton said, we are in a full-fledged crisis in our democracy, I thought, yes, and it's because of people like you. It's because of people like Nancy Pelosi that can't even get across the finishing line a resolution to condemn the anti-Semitic statements by people in the United States Congress, people that are sitting on the House Foreign Affairs Committee that vote for and make big decisions and try to influence other people on important decisions that affect the United States of America, that affect our leadership role in the world, that affect our most important allies. And I think about the fact that Israel, unlike every Muslim Arab country in the Middle East, Israel has over 400 mosques in Israel, 73 of which are in Jerusalem. 73, I don't think there are that many synagogues in Jerusalem, but there's 73 mosques, 400 in the whole state of Israel. What do we need 400 mosques in Israel for? But there's freedom in Israel. Muslims call it an apartheid state. The number of mosques in Israel has increased fivefold since 1988. 300 imams, that's their clerics or preachers, receive monetary grants from the Israeli government. Why, I don't know. But yet, Muslims in America focus on the Jewish people. Why? You can be a Muslim, you can get a passport and travel to Israel. There are Muslims that are serving in the Israeli Knesset, that's the Congress. There are Muslims that get an education, that are Arab Muslims getting an education and working in hospitals and clinics, teaching, professors at universities. What is this apartheid? Israel's not going to give you any more land, at least I hope not, because every time Israel gives one more inch of land that Israel won fighting in wars of self-defense, 1948, 1956, 1967, 1973, 1982, and even now every day trying to defend its citizens against terrorist attacks. Why would Israel give away more land? Israel literally walked out of the Gaza Strip after winning that in the war in 1967. What's happening to Israel? As I shared with you last night, IDF attack. The IDF had to launch an airstrike against Gaza because they kept shooting rockets over into Israel. I saw this in the news today. There's no safe entry for Jews in a neighborhood in Jerusalem. It says, go to israelnationalnews.com. Israelnationalnews.com. There's a community. Did you put up the pictures? Let's get them up. Al-Walajah. This is a neighborhood in southern Jerusalem called Al-Walajah. And it's got a sign up. Can people see that sign? The sign says, entering a dangerous neighborhood for Israelis. Entering a dangerous neighborhood for Israelis. Why is there a dangerous neighborhood in Jerusalem for Israelis? By the way, Israelis, Jews, Muslims, Christians. Why is there a dangerous neighborhood? What they're saying is it's a dangerous neighborhood for Jews in southern Jerusalem. And they shouldn't walk in there. Look at the picture of it. It's pastoral, it's quiet. But you know what? I'll tell you what the problem is. There's Muslims living in the city. And what happens if a Jew is there by himself or herself, or if they're with a small group? What happens to them? They can be attacked and killed. Just that simple. That simple, and they'll just run and fade into their communities, and nobody will ever know who did it. That's what happens. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been an interesting show. At least it has been for me. Hope it's been an interesting show for you. I always need your support. You can go to my website, newmiddleeast.com, make a PayPal contribution. You can send something, that would be wonderful, to the Middle East Initiative. That's my 501c3. It's a private foundation, educational foundation. That's my website. Send it to my nonprofit so you can get a tax deduction. Send it to the Middle East Initiative. The Middle East Initiative. Send it to Post Office Box 82162, Bakersfield, California, 93380. I do need the help, and thank you so much. I am an independent broadcaster. This is not a paid position. I'm bringing this information to you just out of a passion to bring truth, to speak truth to the power of the Democrat Party and the Democrat caucus and Democrats that are controlling this state, and for the Democrat socialist agenda that wants to take over the United States of America. Oh yes, they do. And now we see this tremendous rise in anti-Semitism, deeply concerning. That's why I do it, but I do need your support to pay the bills. So let me hear from you today. That would be great. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you back here tomorrow on the Denise Gary Show, 5 days a week at 5 Pacific Standard Time. Share it out with all your friends. Get everybody listening. Let's get everyone listening across the country. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you for listening to The Denise Gary Show. Intelligent talk media.